Hey guys, it's me, 80s Room for War today, guys. We are back for our top 10 transfers this month, guys. Well, not this month, last month, obviously, January transfer window. So today we'll be discussing my top 10 personal picks. Now, remember, guys, I did make some rules. First of all, number one is that I only wanted to mention the club once. So, for example, I wanted every player that's mentioned on here, the receiving club only gets one player. To make things different, I don't want to mention so many because I know several clubs made, like, for example, Barcelona. Like, there's so many different players I could mention. So, decide instead of mentioning all the ones, I'll just mention the one player that I think is the most important for that team. Okay, as well as this is just my personal opinion. This is just my personal opinion, and these are the players that I just think that for me will bring the most impact um and this year in particular. So without further ado, let's go and get started. So we're gonna go. Of course, timestamps will be in the description below. So let's start with number 10, guys. The first player that we have here, I'm gonna go from 10 to first, by the way, and that is obviously going to be Robin Gossens. Now, this for me is a very good player. I think Gossens is a very good player, guys. Robin Gossens for me is a player that I think Atalanta have definitely really used to his degree, and you can see how important he is for Atalanta in particular. And I know this season in particular, he hasn't really been given the faith under Gasperini. He's kind of fallen off a bit, but for me, I think it's a really good transfer to pull off for Inter. It's a loan deal. He can play as a left back, play as a left man, and as a right man. And like I said, if he does very well, Inter can purchase him on a 25 million as their buy option, I believe. And I just think for me, he's a quality player, brings so much attacking wise, and he's such an important player. And I think Inter could definitely use that a lot. And given how Perisic is very old right now, they could use him to replace him. So I think it's a great transfer. Like I said, and let's see how he does, man. Let's see how he does. And I think this is a really good transfer indeed. So just wanted to give you guys my thoughts upon that. Moving on to number 9. Number 9 we have on this list is probably one player that many people don't probably know of. I think it's a transfer that has kind of gone under the radar, which is, in my opinion, it is Dalvin. I think for me, this is a player that I think has been a quality player at Ajax. I think he's been one of Ajax's best players, and I think for me, he's a player that I think has been rumored to have be leaving Ajax for a while now. And I just think that for me, this is a great club to be at Shakhtar Donetsk. The pressure isn't as high as Ajax, and like I said, Shakhtar usually are in the Champions League. So let's see how he does in the Champions League for Shakhtar, because Shakhtar this season in the Champions League were very disappointing indeed, and I think he can add so much to that team. He can play as a right winger and plays a left winger, and I just think that for me it's a great transfer for Shakhtar Donetsk, and let's hope he could do well there, man. Hopefully he could do well, and maybe if he does very, very well there, he can finally make that big move to like a top 5 European team, like for example, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Sevilla, those kind of teams. And I think this is definitely something for him. So I think for me, this is about as. I think for me, this one is a bit of a challenge. I don't think this one as. I would say, though, this is probably better for his career because, like I said, I would say the Ukrainian league is definitely a bit more challenging than the Eredivisie. Let's be real here. But let's just see, man. Let's just see how he does there. Moving on to number 8, and this is one of my favorite players, guys, and I think it's a great transfer for him, and that is Ricardo Pepi. Pepi, in my opinion, finally made that move to a European team, and he needed this move, man. He needed this move big time, and I would say this was a really good transfer for Augsburg to pull off, and it's a great transfer indeed, because for me, he's such an emerging player at, what is it called, at the FC Dallas. And I just think for me, he needed this move. He needed this move big time, and obviously with his breakthrough with the U.S. men's national team, I think for me he's a player that really wants to be a great player. And he's 19 years old. He's very young indeed. He's playing at striker, and given how Augsburg have been struggling, given how Augsburg a lot of the strikers are very old, like around 30 plus, I think he's a player that can get a lot of minutes there. And who knows, maybe he could be the reason why they survived this season. Maybe not get relegation. I know this season his form hasn't been great. He's played 3 matches. He's yet to get a goal and an assist. But like I said, guys, he's only 19. It's going to take time for him to develop. And, it's not going to be as straightforward. And I think for me, he's still a player that can be so valuable in the long term. Okay, and I just think that for me, he's a player that just give him some time, man. Give him some time, and he'll start banging those goals and it's just he just needs. I just think that once he gets that first goal for Augsburg, he can really find his form. I just think that once he gets his first goal, it'll mean everything to him, and he can be consistently banging the goals. It's always a challenge getting that first goal. Okay, moving on to the next player we have is another player that I really do think is a great transfer. Another transfer that I would say was probably a player that none of us really knew about, and that is Julian Alvarez. For me, this is a really good transfer for Manchester City. Manchester City finally addressed their striker issues, and finally, for me, this is a player that I feel like for me he's a very good player. He plays in the Argentinian league and plays for River Plate, and done very well this season. I mean, you guys can see stats wise, 21 matches, 18 goals, 6 assists. Been very, very good indeed. And I think this is a player that could really suit under Pep. He's definitely a very kind of Pep kind of type of player. Play is number 20. He's age is 22. And number 9 jersey color. His shirt number is jersey. He plays at Argentina. Very similar to Aguero. He can play as a center forward, right winger, left winger, striker. And I just think for me, it's a transfer that Pep has pulled off. And they didn't expect for Pep Guardiola to make this kind of transfer. And I just think that for me, he's a very good player, and I think he's a player that could really be that player that Pep really likes, because there's a certain type of players that Pep really likes for a striker position, and I just think for me he fits that profile big time. So I think it's a really good transfer to pull off. And remember, guys, he will not join this year. I mean, not this month. He will join in June. So Pep will still not have him until June, and then once June arrives, he'll be the striker that City really desperately need. Moving on to another player that I think is a really good player indeed, and that is Philippe Coutinho. For me, I would say this is probably the one of the best loan deals made in a while now, and I just think for Philippe Coutinho, this is a player that I think needs confidence. He needs some form right now, and he's just needing to find a team where he could be that main guy. He could be the main guy, and for me, just didn't really work at Barcelona. Now, I already made a video about this already, so you guys can check that out where I meant a little bit more in depth. Obviously, I'm not going to go as in depth because I would rather you guys watch that video, but I'm just going to be briefly reiterating here that I think for me, for Coutinho in particular, I just think that he needs to be a team where he's like the main guy. He's like the main and important player, and I feel like for me, that could be Aston Villa. Remember, guys, Aston Villa did sell Jack Grealish last summer, and I just think that for me, he could be that direct replacement, because for me, they haven't really properly replaced him, in my opinion. I know they brought in Buendia, I know they brought in Leon Bailey, and I know they brought in Danny Ings, but I feel like for me, this is almost like the direct replacement. I think like this is the best replacement, best guy you can have that could possibly be close to um, um, what is it, Jack Grealish. And remember, guys, he is going to be coached under Steven Gerrard, and we know how Steven Gerrard continue how good they were as players and how much of friendship they had together. So I think for me, Steven Gerrard can definitely get the best out of him. He plays a central attacking midfield and plays a left winger. Okay, and remember, guys, like I said, if he does very well there at Aston Villa can purchase him. That's the beauty about it, guys. Moving on to number 5, and that is a transfer that I think is a really good transfer. It's a really good transfer, in my opinion, one of the best transfers in this month, which is why I put him in number 5. And for me, what the heck? Did I not spell it right? Oh, there we go. There we go. Bruno Guerrero. For me, this is a very, very good transfer pulled off. Newcastle have made one of the deals of this month, last month. That is a brilliant deal. Bruno Guerrero, for me, he's a CDM. He can play well he can even play as a CM. And for me, he's that perfect CDM that Newcastle need, because we know Newcastle, they've been doing very poor in the league. They've been conceding a lot of goals. And for me, he's a player that could really cement himself as a starter position there and really help Newcastle survive and obviously, try not to get relegated. That's like the thing. And like I said before, guys, he could play as a CDM position. It's a really good transfer in my opinion. And like I said, Newcastle have been conceding a lot of goals. I think Newcastle's goal difference is very poor. Like, let me just show you guys their goal difference right now. It's very bad indeed. Standings. Newcastle have conceded 43 goals. And I know my screen's really big there, but let me just minimize that real quick for you guys to see. 43 goals conceded, minus 22 goal difference. It's a very, very poor, guys. And for me, I think he's a player that could really deputize in that position and really save Newcastle there. And as you can see, the latest lineup they have here, he could slot in right here for Shelby. He could slot in right there for Shelby or Joelinton there, maybe even Willock, and definitely be a very, very good player indeed. So Bruno Guerrero, man, really good transfer pulled out from Newcastle United. Coming in at number 4, sorry, and that is Osmoon, guys. Osmoon, for me, is one of the best transfers pulled off this month. I would say, guys, this is a really good transfer. Really solid transfer indeed. Sorry to Azmoun. And I feel like this is another transfer that people are not talking about. This is a really talented player, guys. Plays at Iran, obviously, and I think he's one of Iran's best players. And the fact that he left Zenit St. Petersburg and now joined Bayer Leverkusen is a huge, huge accomplishment indeed. We know how Bayer Leverkusen has been doing this season in the league. They've been doing fantastically well. They've been scoring so many goals, and they've had players like Florian Wirtz, who's been good. Patrick Schick as well. It's been a really good team, guys. And I think for me, he's a player that could really add to that team. He can play as a center forward and as a striker, and I just think for me, it's a really good transfer. Really good transfer. This one's under the radar, and I think for me, Bayer Leverkusen made a huge steal for this one, guys. And his market value is 26 million. I believe they paid 9 million for his services. I think they paid 9 million, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and check. Is there any way I could check this? Let me just check this real quick, guys. Azmoun. I think they paid 9 million. I think they did. Let me go just check because 9 million is a really, really good deal, guys. It doesn't say right here. Maybe on transfer market we could see. I don't know why it's not showing there on the Wikipedia page. It usually would. Okay, let me try here on the transfer market. Azmoun. Where is he not showing? 9. Yeah. Wow. Guys, look at this. They paid 5 million. 4.4 million. That is incredible. That is insane. They paid only 4.4 million, and yep, they still got a steal, man. That is a brilliant transfer pulled up from Bayer Leverkusen. Gotta give it up to them, man. Really good transfer indeed. One of the more underrated ones, in my opinion, and definitely one. Now we move on to the top three, guys. This is where things get very interesting indeed. And now we finally move on to third place, who I have. It is Vlahovic, guys. This is a striker that a lot of people like to be talking about from Fiorentina. He's been banging the goals for fun, guys. One of the steals of the season. And I know there's other players that Juventus purchased. I know they got who's it? Zakaria. Who else? I think Zakaria, Vlahovic were the two ones. And I feel like for me, this one is incredible. He's a striker position. He can basically replace Cristiano Ronaldo. And basically for me, he's been amazing. He played at Fiorentina, still at the same league, and he's got 70 goals and 2 assists in 20 matches. Very, very good deal indeed for Juventus. And I think with this striker, they can finally get that top 4. I think this transfer alone is good enough for top 4, and I think he can definitely help Juventus reach the Champions League next season. I just think for me, he's a brilliant transfer pulled off from Juventus. And like I said, man, I got to give it to him, man. One of the steals of the window, guys. Moving on to number 2, guys. Number 2, it is my boy, Ferran Torres. Let me see if I spelled her name wrong. There we go. Ferran Torres, guys. This is another transfer that I think has been amazing, and I've already made a video about Ferran Torres anyway, so I'm not going to really go too much about it. But I just think for me, it's a really good transfer. Really good transfer already. He's already got a goal and an assist on his first 2 matches. Goal against was at Athletic Bilbao, and an assist against Deportivo Alaves. I know I didn't do much against Real Madrid. But still, man, that's crazy. I mean, he's already played 3 matches. He already got a goal and an assist, which I find very, very impressive. Incredible indeed. And the nice thing about Ferran Torres is that he can play any position of the front 3. He can play as a right winger, play as a left winger, plays as a striker, although his main position is a right winger. And I just think for me, he's a very good player. Plays as Spain national team. A lot of the Barcelona players are from Spain, like Pedri, Gavi, Busquets, Puig, etc. And he could really slot well with the players. And I just feel like for me, he's a very good player. And I think for me, he was very, very good under Luis Enrique at the Spain national team. And if he's doing so well there, given how Barcelona's trying to replicate that, it makes sense he joins Barcelona, right? Moving on to the best transfer this month, guys. And I'm not going to be biased here, guys. I think this is the best one. This is the one that I really, really think is the best one, guys. Luis Diaz, man. What a transfer this is, guys. This is by far the best transfer made in the January transfer window, in my opinion. And I just think that for me, this is a great transfer pulled off from Liverpool. And the thing about this player is that it's not only about Diaz in particular. Yeah, Diaz is amazing and all. But the thing about Diaz that makes it special is that Jurgen Klopp, we know how good of a manager he is. We know how incredibly important he is. He has developed the likes of Mane and Salah. Dude, look at Salah right now at Liverpool. did many of us not really know Salah before joining Liverpool? I certainly didn't. And look what he's done to Mane. And look what he's been doing with Jota. Jota has been an incredible signing indeed. And I just think that for me, this is a signing for me that shows that Liverpool really wants to replace. I think this is essentially a replacement for Mane. I think this is essentially a replacement for Mane. And that Mane doesn't keep things up, Luis Diaz can replace him. And the thing about him is that he's such an energetic player. He's such a player with so much technique, so much flair, so much skill about him. And even his goals and assists have been incredible. I mean, 124 games, guys. He's got 39 goals at FC Porto. You guys can see here, FootMob here, that he's been very consistent when it comes to his ratings. He's been very, very good indeed. And I just think for me, guys, he's a very good player. Was a breakout player for Colombia and the Copa America. I believe he and Messi ended up getting they both ended up scoring the most goals. But obviously, I think Messi got the Golden Boot because he got more assists, I think. But yeah, man, Luis Diaz, man, very, very good transfer indeed. One of the steals of the window, guys, and I think for Liverpool in particular, this is a really good transfer indeed. And we could see a front three of Luis Diaz, Jota, and Salah. How incredible that is. And that is incredible for Liverpool to have that. You have like Jota, Mane, Salah, Firmino, and you have Shaqiri. It's just the attacking depth of Liverpool is insane. I just think for me, guys, this is a really good transfer pulled off from Liverpool and obviously FC Porto, man. It's a brilliant player indeed. Luis Diaz, man, a very good player indeed. And I want to see what Klopp can do with him, man. I think Klopp could really make him a beast, guys. So those are my top 10 transfers of this month. Now, I do have some audible mentions that I could have mentioned in this video. I could have mentioned Donny van de Beek. That is one I could have mentioned. I could have also mentioned Bentancur. I could have mentioned Kuleveski. There's other players you could mention, like, let's see what else. Kuleveski, Zakaria, Traore, Aubameyang, etc. But the two honorable mentions I would have probably included would be Bentancur and Donny van de Beek. I think these two transfers are also very good indeed. So, like I said before, guys, these are just my top 10 transfers. I want you guys to comment down below your guys' thoughts on these transfers, guys. It's been a really great transfer window, guys. I think January 2022 transfer window was one of the best January windows we've ever seen in our life. So, like I said before, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy that. And remember, guys, if you're new around here, I recommend you hit the subscribe button down below. Like this video as well. Comment down below your thoughts. And make sure you guys check out my podcast description below, you guys, for my Twitter, my Discord, my email, my Twitch. And yeah, hope you guys do enjoy the video, guys. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.